At a time when the world seemed to be collapsing, when young Americans were drafted and rushed thousands of miles from home, an unexpected visitor walked through the gates of a military training camp. He had no owner, no purpose, and no idea of what was about to unfold. No one imagined that this tiny intruder would forever change the history of the 102nd Infantry Regiment, becoming a symbol of courage in one of the darkest eras of mankind. Between 1914 and 1918, while Europe burned, the United States was still hesitating about entering the war. But in 1917, the decision finally came. It was time to send troops. Hundreds of young men gathered to train at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, one of several campuses hastily converted into military preparation centers. And it was there, among tents, supply barrels, and the metallic echo of shouted commands, that a little stray dog began wandering around. He wasn't loved, but he wasn't feared either. He simply appeared and observed. Drawn by the smell of smoked meat and the movement of uniformed men, he approached soldiers having lunch outdoors. At first they tried to scare him off. Stray dogs were common in port cities, but he kept coming back, always. His behavior was unusual, and soon the men stationed there began to notice. He marched behind the soldiers, watched their drills with strange attention, and somehow seemed to understand. Before long, 25-year-old soldier John Robert Conroy was charmed by the dog's peculiar behavior. He secretly sheltered him, even though it was forbidden, and named him Stubby because of his short tail. Yale's training camp was far from ordinary. Loud, improvised, and full of anxious young men who would soon be shipped to the European front. These men were emotionally exhausted before even leaving America. The dog sensed it, and he began to act. To those with low morale, he offered something that felt like encouragement. Soon the soldiers saw him as a mental refuge, a tiny piece of home in the middle of chaos. Back then, there were no official protocols for military dogs, and that ended up working in Stubby's favor. It allowed the little visitor to stay. Slowly, he stopped being an intruder and became part of the routine. Most soldiers accepted him naturally. Some fed him, others taught him tricks, and soon he began following drills as if he were training too. Even the instructors eventually tolerated him. No one knew that this behavior wasn't just cute. It was a warning of what he would become on the battlefield. When the 102nd Infantry was ordered to deploy to France, Conroy did the unthinkable. He hid the dog aboard the SS Minnesota troopship. For days, the dog stayed hidden between blankets, backpacks, and crates, until one day at sea he escaped and ran across the deck right in front of the officers. What could have been a problem turned into a legend. When questioned, Conroy simply commanded, "Salute!" and the dog lifted his paw like a soldier. The officers, stunned, allowed him to stay. Upon arriving in France, something even more impressive happened. He ran ahead of the men, eager to explore this strange new world. And soon he proved that he wasn't just a mascot, he was an asset. On the European front, Stubby's instinct shocked everyone. He detected mustard gas long before it reached the trenches, barking frantically to warn the troops. He sensed distant artillery before the first explosion. He searched for wounded men in no man's land, area near the trenches that did not belong to either side, guiding medics through chaos. He carried crucial messages between Allied positions. At night he stood guard, once even capturing a German spy attempting to infiltrate the lines. None of this was training. It was instinct, pure instinct that saves lives. Inside the unit, his reputation grew, not as a mascot, but as a brother in arms, a companion, a soldier. But bravery has a price. Stubby and Conroy both suffered from mustard gas exposure and had to be treated before returning to the front. In April 1918, during the Battle of Seicheprey, Stubby was struck by a German grenade fragment in his leg and chest. He survived, tough as ever, becoming an example to the men around him. Stubby's story shows that in the harshest moments, the answer to fear can come from the most unlikely places, from a bond, from empathy, from a companion who stands by your side. Animals read our emotions with uncanny accuracy, lifting morale, bringing comfort, and giving soldiers the strength to keep fighting. Maybe that's why humans feel such a deep connection with them. Stubby served 18 months on the Western Front, fighting in 17 battles. When the war ended, America had a surprise waiting. The little stray who wandered into a training camp, hid aboard a ship, and saved countless lives, returned home as a decorated hero. From that moment on, the world would know his name, a name that echoed for generations: Sergeant Stubby, the only dog officially promoted for bravery in World War I. He passed away in 1926, and his body was preserved and displayed at the National Museum of American History. And his faithful companion Conroy passed away on April 25, 1987, at the age of 95. And you, have you visited the Sergeant Stubby Museum yet? Tell us in the comments. The video on your screen now will lead you to another hero on 4 legs. Click it, and I'll see you there.